Welcome to another episode of Mind Body Balance. And before we commence today, I want to make a disclaimer that nothing in this video constitutes medical advice, and this video is created purely for education and entertainment purposes. Now that's out the way, let's jump in. So it looks like the media is at it again. And what do I mean when I say that? Well, when I was going about my pretty typical morning routine, drinking a cup of coffee and scrolling through some of the latest news articles in the mainstream media, I stumbled across an article about turmeric. And specifically, this article was warning about the health risks that it poses and the fact that if you are consuming supplements that contain turmeric, it can cause injury or even failure of the liver. Now, after I read this article, I wouldn't typically have given it much further thought, but it did stand out as a little peculiar because this was the third article of this nature that I'd seen in the last 6 months, which is warning about the health risks of consuming turmeric or taking supplements which contain turmeric, primarily due to the fact they can be toxic to the liver. So with that in mind, I thought it might be worth doing a quick review on what turmeric is, what health benefits it offers, and what sort of research and studies exist to try and demonstrate its health benefits and its safety. Now, turmeric is a rhizome or root of a plant native to Asia, and the bioactive compound in turmeric, which confers the majority of the health benefits that it offers, is curcumin, and this is a fat-soluble polyphenol. And what this means is, in order to absorb curcumin, you do need to do so when you're eating fat with the meal that contains the turmeric. But even then, the absorption of curcumin in the gut can be relatively poor. And this is why a number of supplements that contain turmeric have often paired it with piperine, which is a compound extracted from pepper, which helps to enhance the bioavailability. And this can increase the absorption of curcumin by up to 2,000%. If you want to replicate this, if you're eating turmeric, you can simply add some pepper to your food, or if you're adding turmeric to a smoothie, just add some peppercorns to your smoothie. So what are the health benefits that turmeric offers? Well, one of the most well-established benefits is it is a powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant. It has cognitive benefits, enhances brain health, and is neuroprotective. It supports the heart and the cardiovascular system. It has anti-cancer properties. It has been shown to support the health of joints and reduce joint pain and arthritic pain. It supports digestive health. And importantly, and I want to emphasize this because this is in contradiction to these articles I've seen recently, turmeric supports the health of the liver. It optimizes bile production, and it also helps support the natural detoxification pathways of the liver. So what sort of studies exist to demonstrate the safety and efficacy of turmeric? Well, there have been over 389 clinical human trials involving turmeric, over 54 meta-studies, and there are literally thousands of articles on platforms like PubMed, which demonstrate the efficacy and the safety of turmeric. So what does this mean for you? It means that turmeric is one of the most widely researched and studied botanicals on the planet. It has been used for thousands of years in complementary and Ayurvedic medicine and has a very well-established safety profile. Now, it's not perfect. There are some things to be conscious of. For example, if you're buying supplements, make sure you look for a good quality brand that is also purity tested for contaminants. And if you are using turmeric powder, you may want to be wary because there have been some incidents of unscrupulous producers actually adding lead chromate to the turmeric because it enhances that bright golden yellow color that is very desirable. For that reason, I personally prefer to stick with whole roots. But that being said, and looking at how well researched and studied turmeric is, let's, for example, contrast that with pharmaceuticals. And for that purpose, I'm going to be using data from the Center for Disease Control's websites in the United States. And these statistics relate only to the American population. And by their own data, they acknowledge that approximately 100,000 people die every year from using pharmaceuticals. And this is when they're using them as prescribed at the prescribed dosage. When they factor in other issues and complications and errors, the total number of people estimated to be killed from pharmaceuticals every year in the United States is approximately 300,000. Now, in my opinion, those numbers are catastrophic and certainly warrant some kind of national inquiry. And yet, in spite of that, the media is largely silent. But when it comes to even the possible risk of something like turmeric, I see 3 articles in the space of 6 months. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense until you consider another factor. And we're going to go off on a little bit of a tangent now, but stay with me. So during the COVID era, there were certain people who elected to receive a pharmaceutical intervention. And this particular technology took mRNA or messenger RNA, encapsulated it in lipid particles, and then delivered them into your cells. This messenger RNA then told your cells to produce spike protein, which your body then recognized as a foreign invader and then initiated an immune response, which resulted in inflammation in the body. What we later discovered, and contrary to what we were told at the time, is that the spike protein actually became quite widely distributed through the body and also continued to be produced by the cells for quite a bit longer than was initially expected. Now, as a result, we saw a very prominent physician named Peter McCulloch make a recommendation around a protocol that could be used to help detoxify the spike protein and also mitigate some of its effects in the body. And this protocol contained 3 ingredients: nattokinase, bromelain, and you guessed it, turmeric. Now, this might sound like I'm going down the road of speculation, but we certainly have seen many instances in the past where the media discredited interventions or pharmaceuticals that could have been used in the treatment of COVID. And one of the ones that really stands out in this regard is ivermectin. Some of you might remember the media claiming that ivermectin was dangerous. It was a horse dewormer and should be avoided at all costs. This in spite of the fact that the inventor of ivermectin won a Nobel Prize for its invention, and that since it was first created in 1987, it has been prescribed hundreds of millions, if not billions of times, and is one of the safest medicines in existence, and is even on the United Nations list of essential medicines. So it's pretty clear that the media can have ulterior motives when they're giving advice around medications and treatment. So that might make you ask, who is Peter McCulloch? And is he actually qualified to give advice around preventatives and treatments for symptoms of COVID? Well, I'm going to read to you some of his credentials, and that's a determination that you can make on your own. So to get started, education and training. Peter McCulloch received a Bachelor of Science from Baylor University. He qualified as a medical doctor from the University of Texas Southwestern Medical School. He received his residency in internal medicine at the University of Washington and a Master's of Public Health from the University of Michigan School of Public Health. In terms of his clinical and academic career, he was the former Vice Chief of Internal Medicine at Baylor University. He was a professor of medicine at Texas A&M University. And with regard to professional credentials, a board-certified internal medicine, cardiovascular disease, and clinical lipidology expert, and a fellow of multiple professional societies. And his scientific contributions are immense. Over 1,000 publications and more than 600 citations in PubMed. The founding president of the Cardiorenal Society of America, and a chief of several peer-reviewed cardiology journals. And he was recognized for research in heart and kidney disease, chronic disease prevention, and early outpatient COVID-19 treatment protocols. And he was published much data on early outpatient COVID-19 treatment regimens in the American Journal of Medicine. and reviews in cardiovascular medicine. And he regularly testified before US Congress and state legislative bodies regarding COVID-19 response and related treatments. So I think it's pretty clear that Peter McCulloch definitely has the qualifications and experience to make recommendations in that respect. So what ultimately am I driving at by having this discussion with you? Well, it's the fact that we need to stay aware and alert to the reality that there is an agenda to capture all medical interventions under the petrochemical allopathic model, as was initiated by the Rockefeller Foundation many years ago through their actions and lobbying. And that the media in this respect are largely just a tool that is used to discredit, malign, and devalue and exclude the use of natural and holistic treatments for health and wellness. And it's very important for us to continue to stay vigilant in this respect and recognize the mainstream media as essentially a tool and PR arm of the pharmaceutical industry, so that we can ensure we're not deceived and we don't ever again find ourselves in a situation where we're blindly believing media narratives that push us down a road which leads to consequences which are dire to our individual health and the health of our societies. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, please share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And until the next time, be well, be blessed.